This topic for this video will be the payer mix analysis. By definition, a payer mix is the relative amount of payment received from a variety of reimbursement sources, including private pay, commercial insurance, governmental payers such as Medicare and Medicaid, and any other sources of payment made to a practice for clinical care. It's usually expressed in the form of a pie chart. The importance of payer mix is that shifts in payer mix can impact revenues as different payers reimburse at different rates for similar services. Shifts to higher paying sources will increase revenue. Shifts to lower paying sources will decrease revenue in spite of the fact that the same amount of work has been done, the same number of services have been delivered. The cost of delivering service is likely to be similar regardless of the payment source. So a shift to a higher paying source means more net revenue or profit. Shifts to lower means less net revenue or profit for your practice. Let's take a look at revenue. Revenue is equal to the number of services delivered times the rate of payment for those services. So services delivered times rate of payment. Quantity times rate equals revenue. Shifts in payer mix may shift the rate of payment, meaning less revenue. Here's an example of a payer mix set up for a pretend practice, an example practice. And this payer mix happens to be determined by the number of patients that come to the practice from each of the payer sources, not the amount of revenue or the number of visits. So this would be the number of new evals. And in this one, you can see that each of the slices of this pie are over here in the legend shows that Medicare was 30%, and commercial insurance was 20%, and Blue Cross Blue Shield was 30%. And that's a very typical way to look at a payer mix. What's not typical is the fact that this payer mix looks at it by the number of patients, although it's not an unreasonable way to look at payer mix. The exact same clinic looking at total patients versus total revenue based on collections and the number of patients. Same practice. And what you see here is that Medicare, although based on number of patients, is 30% of the practice, by amount of revenue collected, it's only 28%. Blue Cross, on the other hand, is 30% based on number of patients, but it's 33% of the collections. What that means is that Blue Cross is probably a higher payer, a better payer. We also see workers' comp being 10% of the practice, and in this case, it's 8% of the collections. So it is important that you look at specifically how the payer mix charts are generated and what they're based on. As part of your assignment, you'll be doing a payer mix analysis and completing a payer mix analysis worksheet on your practice. This is what that looks like. We want you to develop your own payer mix, and that payer mix will not have down the left-hand side Medicare, Blue Cross, TRICARE, Humana, United Healthcare as this example one does, but rather your payer mix will be the top 5 or 6 payers by revenue that you have in your own practice. So we want you to take a look at developing and investigating and finding what your payer mix is in your organization. You'll then take that information and we'll look at your payer mix in terms of visits. In this case, we have payer A, payer B, payer C, payer D, payer E, and split out. In this case, they're all equal because this was just a sample. You could also do it by revenue. The previous one was by volume or number of visits. This one is by revenue. This one is by new patients. All of them are valid. However, please be careful to understand which one you're looking at. That's what the information that I wanted to provide for you for payer mix. So complete the payer mix analysis. I hope that's been helpful for you. This is Peter Kovacek, wishing you all the best.